Hello, this is Colin Thompson. Welcome to the next episode in our COVID Coaches series. Today we have Coach Elise Lee back with us. We're going to be changing from our usual format. We are now at week 16. Week 16 since the first noted case of the coronavirus was broke here in China. We've received several questions, especially in the last 4 weeks, about what is it like on a daily basis now in China. I've tried to not ignore, but I haven't had opportunity to answer those questions. But today, Coach Elise and myself are going to answer the top 5 questions, and we're doing it from a double perspective. My perspective as a foreigner here in China, and Coach Elise Lee's perspective as a Chinese citizen. So Coach Elise Lee, welcome back to the program, and I'm looking forward to finally answering these questions submitted by our viewers.
Thank you, Colin. Well, I'm so happy to come back again. Here's the first question. Is that true that China come back to normal?
Wow. There's a new term called a new normal. I don't buy that. I think that, let me first say no. China is not back to normal. Everywhere you go outside, everybody is wearing a mask. Everybody is still wearing a mask. And I got to tell you, people may believe that in Asia, wearing a mask was common. Yes, out of 100 people, maybe 2 masks. Out of 100 people now, 100 people have masks on. So it's not back to normal as yet. I think an indicator to me of when things will be back to normal is when the basketball courts are filled up again. The tennis courts are filled up again. You know, parks are open, but the activity that people are playing together, you're not seeing that as well. My wife had a very good indicator. She said that once the community centers stop giving out free masks, then she'll know things are back to normal. And quite frankly, things are not back to normal as yet. And I hope they will return to normal very soon, because I must admit I am tired of wearing a mask. Yeah. But same question for you, right? In your view, is China back to normal?
It's far from normal. I just had one in Beijing, my community, just 5 meters away. There's another case showing up. So after there's one person they're one family, just 3 of them. So people start to feel more intensive again. As I myself, I'm just get out to self-quarantine, and now I receive this news. I start to feel a lot of insecure now.
Right.
No.
Not back to normal yet. Okay.
It's happening day to day. Yeah.
Day to day. Let's move to the second question. From your perspective, is it true that foreigners are being treated differently or being mistreated?
Well, I would say foreigners, no. I mean, local foreigners, no. But the foreigners come back from America or UK or like other countries, they are doing the self-quarantine in different ways. That's what I know. Yeah. Okay. Like different what is the word? Mandatory? Mentality, yeah. So it's different way. I don't think it's mistreated, like unfairness or something like that. It's just follow the rules.
Right. Yeah. So I think that you're correct in that the foreigners who have stayed here in certain cities, the Beijings, the Shanghais, those major cities, and never left, they're well known in the community. People in my neighborhood, they know me, so I'm not treated any different way. Yeah. When foreigners were able to return to China, that's when China started having the imported cases. And I know foreigners had to go through certain restrictions and certain things certain quarantines to be allowed back into the country, and then mandatory 14-day quarantine before they can start interacting with the public. So that's in the major cities. I do know in some other Chinese cities, especially down in southern China, foreigners were discriminated against very badly. Luckily, that has been improved. And that, quite frankly, because a lot of African nations fed back to the Chinese government, that was rectified. So that was sad to see. But foreigners were treated differently. Also, returning foreigners were treated differently, and also some foreigners in that southern Chinese city. But for the whole, outside of that southern Chinese city, I can't say foreigners have been treated too bad. They treat it pretty good here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now I have another question for you.
Okay.
It's getting more serious. Wow.
Okay.
Is that true the virus is designed in the lab and the infection number and deaths are like misreported?
You're not going to get me. Now, because I am here in Shanghai, in China, I must say to those questions, I have no idea. I have no idea. And I'll tell you, I have no idea because I have not watched the news to get the proper information. And, you know, within China, you hear one thing, outside of China, you hear something else. So what I've done and what we advise a lot of people to do is filter the information coming in. I don't know because I don't spend my time watching that kind of news, listening to that sort of noise. I call that noise. Where it came from, whether or not numbers are accurate, does not really impact how my family and I are dealing with this on a daily basis. I think that just focusing on that just adds more frustration, it adds more stress. So I advise and I push people, don't worry about those aspects. You'll find all those answers out later. I think for now, though, focus on what's best for you and your family to make it through this time thriving, right? So when you look back, you've accomplished things, you've gotten closer, you've learned something new, you're in better physical shape. So with those questions, which is the question before and this one, are very touchy questions. So I'm going to say that I have no idea.
Okay. Wow.
How about yourself, though? I mean, you're a Chinese citizen. Perhaps you can speak a little more on it. In your view, right, is it true that the virus was designed and the infection and death rates are inaccurate?
Well, my first intuition response is who will do that? Well, this question is so suspicious, judgmental, full of crisis and insecure, a lot of anxious anger in that question. I can feel the a lot of essence in this question. So
right.
I don't want to answer this question. It's anti-humanity.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very touchy subject, and I'm very glad that we are attempting to address it because it's very important that we do address the questions that are submitted. And I think people understand that where we are, it's very hard for us to openly share our views on this out of respect for where we are. So the viewers, do your own research. There's plenty of YouTube videos. There's plenty of articles being written on both sides of the argument. Spend 2-3 hours if you feel you need to, right? Spend some time, get your answers. Or just say to yourself, you know what? It doesn't really matter, and move on to the next thing. Yeah. Let me ask you another question. Are people in China still concerned about catching the coronavirus?
Oh, yes, because the infection number is growing. I received some news recently, just below 20 something, I guess. Yeah, the infection number daily overall in China.
20 people.
Yes, so it's decreased a lot. Nobody get infection, but I guess until there's zero, people will still concerned about it because the virus is still spreading.
Right.
In a way that we don't know. So, yeah. That you mentioned earlier that people wear masks still.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that one of your neighbors, somebody in your community, your family just caught the coronavirus. So I know it's happening. Here in Shanghai, it's interesting because we don't want to catch the virus, obviously.
Nobody wants.
But I'm not sure that when you go outside, if I go back to how I felt week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's very different from now. During those first 10, 11 weeks, when I went outside, I was on guard. I was looking at what I'm touching. I wasn't interacting. A lot of temperature checks. I was very much on guard, and I would say even under stress when I went outside. Now, it feels like people are wearing the mask, and that's the only protection they're taking. The markets are packed up again. People are freely going outside. So I think people don't want to catch the virus. I'm not so sure that as they walk out, they believe that this may be an opportunity to catch it. Whereas before, every time you go out, you're concerned, if I mess up, I may catch it. Now, when you go back outside, my biggest concern is make sure I wear a mask so nobody looks at me or thinks I'm not doing my part. So I think people don't want to catch it, but I'm not sure people are actively concerned on a daily basis.
Definitely.
Yeah, I see your face.
I can agree more. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you the final question here. Yeah, final question. Are people? No, that was the last question. What is the overall mood in China right now?
I guess it depends on different cities, areas, because I just come back from Hebei province, which I feel more safe in my hometown because there's not so many people crowded there, and my community in my hometown starts, just like you said, feel more relaxed about atmosphere. People go out, and now my parents already, get out to do some work or to social or things like that. But in Beijing, I still feel a bit more intense.
Right.
I had a coffee meeting on this Tuesday morning, and I got some news from very close neighborhood got affected, so I canceled that. Nobody wants to go out anymore. So the overall mood feels like people eager to go out, but depends the outside. I mean the situation.
Yeah, I've been trying to answer this question for about a week and a half now, and I'm going to try to do it here in 2 minutes. I don't know what the overall mood is because it feels like everything is gray. It feels like the weather is just gray every day. Even when the sun is shining, it still feels gray. It feels like there's a weight on our shoulders. As you mentioned, people are going out. People are taking care of their business. People are going to the bank, going to the grocery store. They're doing what they have to do, but they're not doing so much social things. People are still not meeting for coffee. People still aren't meeting as much for dinners. So it's sort of like people now are more enjoying communicating via webinar, via Zoom, via WeChat, talking on the phone, being able to see each other as opposed to interacting. And I gotta say, it's a very strange feeling, knowing, when you're outside, and it's like people are out there, but they're not engaged out there. So the mood is. Let me tell you guys, I'll be honest. We're at week 16, and I am far from being frustrated. Far from being frustrated. I'm fine, but I do look forward to when things go back to the normal, not the new normal, because the new normal of everybody wearing a mask, that can't take place, because you're going to find that human interaction will win over that, right? People want to see each other, the full face, talking, interacting. So I can't say what the overall mood is, but it is not where it was last year. However, I will say that the mood is much better than it was 4 weeks ago, right? People have, especially in China, feel like we have turned the curve, and things are getting better as far as the infection. Now, there is concern about a second wave. I don't know how true that is, but it is on people's minds. My wife talks about it every day. Yeah. So you think about it as well. The second wave of infections.
I don't think people think it will be second wave, but people will concern about it. So we're trying to avoid it.
Right.
What we're doing right now, all the measures or all the things we're trying to keep distance, wear mask, we're trying to
prevent it.
So we're trying our best.
Yeah, and the good thing is, and especially when I think about the coaches, what we're trying to accomplish here, I think the good thing is that we know now, and hopefully the viewers understand this as well, regardless of what's taking place, you have a responsibility to do what's best for yourself and your family. And that is make sure you're in a positive place. The questions we talked about today, is the true China's back to normal? Is the true foreigners are being mistreated? Is it true that the virus was designed in the lab and the infection rates and death rates are not accurate? Are people in China still concerned about catching the virus and the overall mood? All these questions, again, noise. right? The
Yeah.
answers, yeah, the answers, you know, you can feel good about the answer, but I'm not sure the answers are going to help you get through what you're experiencing now. What's going to help you, right, is thinking positive, having purpose during this time,
Yeah.
communicating with your family,
Yeah.
doing everything you can to not make it through this time, to thrive through this time. And you can do it. You know, Elise and I, we were both in a very different place 10 weeks ago, right? And not just us, but people here. And people here now are thriving, are making it work, and you can too. And that's the message we want to get out today. This is why we're doing these questions. We want you guys to know that ignore the noise, right? Focus on what you can do to improve your lives. So Elise, I'm going to give you an opportunity here to summarize and share your final message.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. I just want to say yes and to the message. Exactly, it's so important. What we can do right now is take care of yourself and take care of your family, and hug each other as much as you can, because now I have a family member, boyfriend, or whoever intimate around me, so I have no one to hug with, which I didn't take chance when I was still with my parents. I feel that I'm so eager to feel the in-person connection, and I just want to remind everyone to cherish people who are surrounding you, supporting you, especially yourself.
Yeah. And you can hug yourself too, you know, if you need to, hug yourself. Right? I'll do it too. I give myself a deep hug. I'll do it too.
This feels really good, I have to tell. It's self-care. And you're always your best friend, your best supporter, your best partner. Yes.
You always say, I'm my best cheerleader. So guys, thanks again. Again, we hope that our different format for today, you found it interesting. We wanted to address these questions. And again, the answers are irrelevant. It's more about how you are thriving through this time. So for Elise, Lee, and myself, the Cobra Coaches, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.